Hello and welcome to the astrology forecast. My name is Sage, here as your eye into the sky, letting you know what the cosmic events are for the week, why they matter, and how you can use this information in your everyday life. Happy full moon in Aries. I have some great news. This is the first week since basically the beginning of September that we're actually able to manifest and work with the energy of the moon. So this is a video you'll want to listen to. And no, I promise it is not as long as it looks. I know it looks a lot longer than most of us have time to listen to, but don't worry, this video is actually super condensed. The first 10 minutes are going to go over the overview of the week, the cosmic events that are happening, especially the full moon in Aries. And then after that, feel free to fast forward to listen for your rising sign. And if you don't know your rising sign, go ahead, listen to your sun sign, even your moon sign, and that's going to give you a much more in-depth 3-minute overview about how this energy of the week is affecting you personally. So make sure you listen into the first few minutes so you know generally what these cosmic events are. And then after that, just dive right into your rising sign or your sun and moon sign, or maybe even all three. And that way you can get a general and then even more in-depth understanding about this week. It is a full moon week, so tensions are heightened. The temperature is rising as it is a full moon in Aries. So a fire sign, no less. We're really feeling the heat. And of course, full moons always make us feel a lot more sensitive. So make sure you're listening in to know how your emotions might be affected for this week. If you're interested in a personal reading, a more in-depth understanding of your natal chart, your birth chart, hit the link below and book a personal reading with myself. That's going to give you the most in-depth understanding of your birth chart, of your cosmic blueprint, I like to call it. And all of those do come with PDFs, so you will be able to basically reread everything that's discussed in the reading forever. That's yours to keep forever. So with that, guys, let's dive right into what's going on for this week and see what the cosmic events have in store for us. And before we get into the rest of this video, make sure if you have not already subscribed that you go ahead, hit that subscribe button, maybe even tap the notification bell. That way you can stay up to date. I do post videos every single week letting you know what the cosmic events are so you can really stay in alignment with the cosmic energy. And of course, if you get value from this video, make sure you also hit the like button and leave any feedback below in the comments. I'd love to read those and hear what you all have to say. All right, so diving into the first cosmic event happening this week, it's actually on Sunday, October 13th. So if you're listening to this, it already happened. Mercury entered Scorpio. Now, really quickly, Mercury has been in Libra for the last few weeks, which in many ways is really peaceful. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's all about our mouth and our mind, everything that's going on mentally, intellectually, and even in terms of our communication and expression. Mercury rules over all of that. And it was in Libra, which was all about peace and harmony and being polite and using our manners and not saying things that's going to insult somebody, maybe even kind of glazing over certain things so that way we don't have to go too deep. But now that Mercury is entering Scorpio, all bets are off. With Mercury in Scorpio, it is time to look deeply at things that we haven't wanted to look at. This especially might show up in relationships. So, heads up, whether you are single, dating, or in a long term relationship, it is very likely that the connections in your life, the people in your life, especially partners, but even close friends and family, you might find more communication on topics that are going deep. You might have to go and bring up things from the past that haven't been resolved. Our words, when Mercury is in Scorpio, our words can either hurt or they can heal. And it's really up to us to decide how we want to use and wield this power. As Scorpio is a very intense water sign, which means our emotions are fueling our voice. And oftentimes, when we speak from a place of anger or hurt, things don't always get communicated the right way. Likewise, if we're communicating from a place of love and connection and happiness and joy, that's going to come through as well. So it can look like a multitude of different things. And of course, knowing where Scorpio is in your chart will help. Listen in for the horoscope because I am going to incorporate this into all 12 signs. So it doesn't matter what your rising sign is, every single person has Scorpio in their chart. And yes, I will go over where Mercury will be for you during this week so that way you can get an in-depth understanding of where your mind is, what area of your life is Mercury occupying right now, having you think about right now. This is really important to note. So Mercury in Scorpio, Mercury will be in Scorpio all the way until November 2nd. So this is a pretty much like a 2-3 week time frame, not super long, but long enough to go beneath the surface and perhaps heal the things that haven't been discussed. It's time for relationships to not be so pretty and sweet and sunshine and rainbows. And it's time to go a little bit deeper than usual and really get to the heart of things so that way we can build a deeper foundation built on much more trust, vulnerability, and intimacy. The next major cosmic event this week is on Thursday, October 17th. This is actually the same day as the full moon in Aries, so stay tuned because this day is really, really potent and it's filled with a lot of fire because Venus is entering into Sagittarius on the 17th. Now, Venus is the sign of love and beauty and romance and harmony and all things that are of value. So when Venus enters Sagittarius, our relationships are taking on a Sagittarian flair. Now, Sagittarius is the sign of expansion and freedom. And it's coming off the heels of Venus being in Scorpio, which was a bit difficult. It asked us to really go deep, kind of basically what I just discussed with Mercury in Scorpio. But with Venus in Scorpio, this pertained directly to relationships and even those that are not romantic, like platonic relationships, or even like siblings, even partnerships that occur in the workplace. Like Venus is all about connection. And when Venus was in Scorpio, we might have had to deal with things that were maybe taboo, things we didn't really want to talk about in relationships. We had to literally look at intimacy, trust, depth, vulnerability. Now we can kind of breathe a fresh, a sigh of relief, so to speak, because when Venus enters Sagittarius, the vibe completely shifts. And with Venus in Sag, we're looking for fun. Like we did the work, we looked at our shadows, we went deep. All right. And that's important. I don't mean to say that that's not of value. It is of value. We're not diminishing it, but we are taking a second look at, all right, we did the work. Now, how can we make this enjoyable? How can we have an experience to come out of this lesson that brings us even closer together? If you're looking to go on a trip with a loved one, a gal pal, maybe a girl's trip, maybe a boy's trip, a couple's trip, a honeymoon trip, a baby moon trip, or even just a solo trip, Venus being in Sagittarius is excellent for foreign travel, even domestic travel, anything that incites new experience. In a relationship, we might be way more interested in freedom, in fun, in spontaneity. So make sure you're spicing things up. Venus will be directly opposite Uranus right as it enters Sagittarius. So especially on Thursday the 17th and pretty much this whole week, it's very likely that we're going to be feeling like we want to just completely change things up in our relationship. We might want to throw in some surprises, and that's a good thing. Keeping your partner on their toes, that's really what this week is all about. And if you're single, that also does mean you might be attracting people that are interesting, innovative, and different. You might be wanting to maybe go on dates with people that are not normally your type, right? All of these things can happen when Venus is in harmony with, and also not even in harmony with, but it is in some sort of connection with Uranus, as well as being in Sagittarius in a relationship, out of a relationship. We're looking for wisdom, experience, fun, adventure. And ultimately, we're looking for expansion and freedom. So these are all really important things. You might desire more cultural experiences when Venus is in Sagittarius. You might just overall feel like you want to experience the world together, either with yourself, together with yourself, right? Or with a partner or with some friends, family, whomever it is, whatever people, persons in your life that you form connections with, go have a great time and experience the world together. While Venus is in Sagittarius on basically up until middle of November. That's all the time we have. It's not super long. Actually, it'll be 11/11, so that's kind of fun for Venus in Sag, kind of lucky. That's the last day we have Venus in Sag before it enters into the sign of Capricorn. So take advantage of these few weeks. And of course, listen in for the horoscope because I will go over where Venus is showing up in your chart and where in your life you're getting an extra dose of value and good luck with Venus being in Sagittarius. And the third major cosmic event this week is, of course, that full moon in Aries taking place on Thursday, October 17th. Now, this is a hot, intense, and fiery full moon. I wish I could say after eclipse season that we have a nice full moon to sort of balance things out and bring us back to our center, but that's not really the case here. Honestly, this full moon is even taking place near to the North Node, so it does have some kind of eclipsey energy. It's spooky season, right? So it's all kind of on theme, on brand. Right now, the energy is intense. This full moon in Aries is taking place with a few other things going on in the sky, which calls for a second look on things. It definitely calls us to take a second to think about everything that happened during eclipse season and to understand and integrate what went on, to celebrate the triumphs and to release be, things that are not going to keep us at that high vibrating state, and those things that we need to release in order to realign ourselves back into balance, right? It still is Libra season. But this full moon in Aries is taking place opposite the sun in Libra, with the moon being in Aries. Now, Aries is that bold, fiery fire sign, which is all about action and inspiration and spirit and animation. And in many ways, emotionally, this is great. But the first component of this moon is the fact that it's all about healing, as it will be conjunct Chiron, which is the wounded healer. Now, Chiron is all about our wounds coming to the surface to be healed, which in many ways, full moons do exactly that. So during this full moon, it's not unlikely that shadows resurface, that healing has to be done. Old wounds, traumas, triggers, things that make us feel excited or scared, all of that might come to the surface for us. Full moons in general often spotlight things in our life that we don't want to look at. So during this full moon in Aries, it might be that there's things that are really bringing up a strong emotional reaction within us, and we have to look at them. Chiron will be the wounded healer that's activating those wounds in us and forcing us. When we feel, we heal. And that's really a major theme of this moon. The second thing is that it is forming a T square with Pluto in Capricorn. This is not super comfortable. The T square is actually with Mars in Cancer and Pluto in Capricorn, which basically means there's a lot of intense, frustrating, almost destructive energy. In terms of world events, I wouldn't be surprised if we see destruction. I wouldn't be surprised if we see chaos and rage and emotional issues that are causing distress coming up for us. On a personal note, we could have this feeling like we want to destroy something in our life that is no longer working, and that we want to destroy this in order to rebuild it into something better. That's a very Plutonian, especially Pluto and Capricorn being at its last degree in Capricorn, the last few months in centuries that it's going to be in Capricorn. We're experiencing that right now. That could be activating a lot within us, especially if you have strong cardinal placements. So Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra, especially late degree, you might really feel the sense of wanting to destroy, to almost take apart whatever is not working and take emotional action on these things that are forcing you to destroy that which is no longer serving you, being able to build what you ultimately desire. That's very likely. We also could see some stirring up of inner motivation, where suddenly we really want to take action on a situation that's been causing us emotional distress. All of this is going to show up in a particular area of our life, which is why we're about to get into that whole horoscope here in a second, because that's really the nuts and bolts of it. If you want to understand where this full moon is showing up, it's really recommended to understand what area of life is affecting it. But either way, it is an intense full moon. So know this whole week, emotions might be heightened. You might find more panicked situations. You might find more moments of triumph, more moments of celebration. I always say about Aries is either the hero or the villain. And honestly, this week, we can choose to use our emotions to inspire and save other people and be the hero of the situation, or we can be the villain and we can stir up conflict. It's Libra season, but this full moon in Aries is a reminder that in order to restore balance, sometimes you need contrast, you need conflict. And that conflict resolution is ultimately what gets you to that harmony and peaceful outcome that Libra so greatly desires. So, without further ado, let's get into the horoscopes for this week. Again, this is for all 12 signs. I highly recommend you fast forward and listen to your rising sign first, as that will be most accurate. But if you don't know your rising sign, that is all right. Go ahead and listen for your sun sign and even your moon sign to get a full picture of what you can expect and have in store on the cosmic agenda for this week. Aries rising. Aries rising, for the last couple of weeks, I've been saying that you could hide in the shadows, but that time has come to a close. It is your time to shine. As an Aries rising, this full moon is showing up in your first house, which is all about you. And of course, as an Aries is the sign of self. So that's not something that's super uncomfortable for you to hear. In fact, you might even be saying, yay, finally, I've been waiting for the spotlight to come back on me. Now, Aries rising, this full moon taking place in your first house means that you are coming to some sort of culmination of self. What is going on in your life that is asking you to look at yourself in the mirror and decide if you like what you see? Do you feel good about who you are? That's the biggest question to ask yourself, Aries rising. As this full moon is activating a lot of fire, it's bringing in a lot of questions of who you are and what you believe and what you adhere to, especially as Venus is in your ninth house of travel and belief systems, you might be experiencing a desire to define who you are by seeking new experiences, by diving into new belief systems, new religions, by heightening your levels of education. You also might be experiencing a lot of feelings of wanting to get rid of and literally burn away parts of yourself that are not in alignment. Burn ceremony is a great thing to do for yourself, for anything in your persona that you are not liking, and anything in who you are that you just do not align with. Aries, this is your time to say goodbye to those things, to burn away that which is no longer serving you, and to truly understand that this is your moment to shine. You might be feeling more emotional this week. You might be feeling more reactive. You might be feeling more in tune and sensitive and emotional. You might even feel like some psychic energy as the moon does bring that, and it's in your first house of self. So you're receiving all of that energy, and all eyes are on you. So during this week, know that it's all about who you are, even what you look like. You might be finding that your physical appearance is reaching new heights, or maybe you're realizing that it's time to shed some skin and to change how things are looking on the outside, and of course hoping that that is in alignment with what you feel and who you are on the inside. So this is definitely the time to take note of who you are. Be a little bit selfish, focus on yourself, pour into yourself, Aries rising. Self-care is the name of the game. If you feel like matters in your relationships and maybe even at home or at work are pulling you outside and asking you to adhere to and attend to all these different things, know that the medicine this week to bring you back into homeostasis is to focus on thyself and to give yourself the necessary time and energy and care and love so that way you can better vibrate and decide and align with what you are going to keep into this next cycle and what it is that you're getting rid of. Taurus rising. Taurus risings, this full moon in Aries is taking place in your 12th house, which is the place of solitude, of retreat, of quiet time. It's your house of the subconscious. And so this week is really your opportunity to take a step back. If things have been really social and really upbeat and you've been really out there and enjoying life, that's amazing. Now is the time to take a pause on all of that. As this week in particular, you might be noticing a real desire to stay within your space, to take necessary alone time. And this is really the week to also really take a look at your mental health. Are you taking care of that? Are you doing the necessary practices to make sure that not only your mental, but also your spiritual health is where it needs to be? Meditation, solo time, right? Pouring back into your spiritual needs. Those spiritual practices, as the 12th house deals with our intimate spiritual practices, are you really doing that which you know you should be? A lot of us might be out here preaching about meditation and energy work and shadow work, but Taurus rising, are you doing that work? Are you practicing what you preach when no one is watching? This is the week to get in touch with that. Pay attention to your dreams, as you might get a lot of messages through your dreams this week, and know that it is okay to take time by yourself this week. As Venus is in your eighth house, entering into your eighth house, Sagittarius, you might find some really good luck when it comes to shared resources that you have with other people. You also might find a boost in your sex life. While at the same time, Mercury entering your seventh house of committed partnership means that a lot of communication, a lot of thought, and energy is going into the other people in your life, whether that be your spouse, a business partner, even a best friend. You might be finding a lot of focus on that person. And now this week, it's pulling you back into yourself. It's asking you to better be able to serve those people in your life by realigning who you are when no one is watching. So, because it's a fire sign, Aries, of course, is fiery. Go and sit in the sauna by yourself. Sit outside in the sun and meditate. Maybe even take a solo workout, go on a hike, go for a run, do something that's movement based or heat based. But pouring into yourself is the first thing, first and foremost thing. I will also include Taurus risings. You might be experiencing some issues with communication this week. You also might be experiencing some travel stuff. So if you're looking to book flights or go on a long trip, make sure you check your car. Make sure you get that oil change. Make sure you get the travel insurance and double check your flight plans, as you might be feeling that there's some mishaps going on here. Also, like I said, communication could come up as a troublesome topic where potentially you having to say things, talk about things that you're not used to. Again, the medicine is to lean into your personal space, your sense of self. Take some quiet time to just retreat into your inner world and allow your spiritual practices to guide you through whatever emotions hit you this week. Gemini rising. Gemini rising, this full moon in Aries is activating a very social place in your chart. This is your 11th house of friends, networking, and your hopes and dreams. So, this full moon, as all full moons do, will oftentimes bring up a realization of who it is you're meant to be, what it is you're meant to do, and really what is that big dream that you have for yourself. On top of that, being in the house of friends, you might be realizing who it is that you're meant to do that with. What friends in your life are meant to stay and which ones are meant to go? That could be the basically the biggest question that comes up for you this week. Or it could simply be, what community are you supposed to be in? Are you meant to be a part of this group or this club or this team? Are you meant to be the leader of it, as Aries energy in this area of life often can propel you to the top? While at the same time, you might be realizing it is time to burn away connections that are not serving your highest good. And that is, of course, what the full moon will bring answers to. As full moons are times of culmination, right? It's usually a time when the energy peaks and we can be celebrating the friendships that are working, the dreams and goals and wishes in our lives that we can see manifesting. And we're so excited to actually be witnessing. While at the same time, full moons can be a moment of release, of surrender, and so, a burn ceremony in your case could be an amazing thing to do, even with friends, perhaps having a bonfire with friends. Aries energy is great with competition and fun and sports and games. So, this could be a great week to gather with friends and do a competitive sport. Do something, in the gym maybe, or go on a hike with some friends, or host a game night, right? Something that's active, energetic, and social. That is really the vibe for you this week. Now, do be aware that financially you might be experiencing some frustrations. And because of that, it could be very likely that even friends and peers could influence the way that you spend your money. So be very aware of that, Gemini rising, that you are not spending, especially on an impulse based upon what other people are kind of coursing you into. On top of that, Venus is entering your house of marriage. And so this is an amazing time to look at your committed partnerships, to get closer with your spouse, to look at the contracts that you have with people, maybe even clients, and looking at how those relationships are going. Oftentimes, with Venus involved, this is a really positive time when you can see all the good things coming into light. And of course, last but not least, Mercury is in your sixth house, which means that you might be doing a lot of discussion and research, maybe even teaching and learning around your diet, around your workouts, around your physical health, your body, your well being, even your schedule, Gemini rising. This is a great time to get your schedule down, to make sure that you are really solid on what it is that you have going on and when it's going on and who with, and really have all your, I's dotted and T's crossed. That's really the name of the game for you, while Mercury's in your sixth house, especially. So, being aware that this moon is activating a very social place in your chart, take advantage, go have some fun with some friends this week, and also maybe jot down some of your biggest goals, wishes, and dreams, as this full moon is the time to really activate those things and really get in touch with those bigger manifestations. Cancer rising. Cancer risings, this week the full moon is activating your 10th house of career and public image. This is a spotlight house. This is the house where we are seeing who you are in the world. And this is the week where you might be questioning that. Who are you? What titles do you hold? And do they feel in alignment with who you are and ultimately who you want to be? These are the questions that the full moon might bring up. And of course, it's a moon, right? So it's emotional. And there might be a lot of emotional energy. And as a Cancer rising, this is not unfamiliar to you. Mars is in your first house right now, Cancer risings. You might be feeling a lot more stirred up emotionally, maybe even really called to take greater action. Be aware of your physical well being. Please make sure that you're double checking your step. As often with Mars in our first house, we can get clumsy, we can even get injured, but we can also usually take greater action, maybe even put more energy into our physical body. What's great about that is Venus is entering your sixth house this week in Sagittarius, which is all about your physical health and well being. And Venus is a sign or a planet of good fortune. So, Cancer risings, this is actually a really great time to get into the gym and to really focus on your physical health. But on top of that, health and wealth go hand in hand in many ways, and your career needs to feel as healthy as your physical body. So, does it feel healthy? Does it feel like it's in alignment with who you are? And if there's titles that you hold, Cancer rising, that do not feel like they serve you anymore, this full moon will likely show those to you. You might be healing old wounds around what you thought you were meant to do versus what you are doing. and maybe realigning the path, maybe re-deciding on new goals, or perhaps getting rid of goals that are no longer serving you, setting the goals you desire to achieve, and even just celebrating the ones that you have achieved, as full moons are oftentimes of culmination, but they also point out and put into the spotlight the things that do need a bit of a change. So if there's a change needed in your career, Cancer rising, this is the week you will more than likely become aware of it. And last but not least, Mercury is entering your fifth house, which is a great time for you to be communicating with your children and also to be discussing about dating, romance. If you're single, it's a great time to get on a dating app. If you're in a relationship, it's an excellent time to introduce even more romance and fun, maybe some fun date nights into your relationship. But ultimately, Cancer rising, the focus is on career and it's on who you are, what your reputation is. And if that reputation is working for you, amazing. Go out and celebrate this week and give yourself a pat on the back and maybe even do something fun that you haven't done to celebrate a recent achievement. While at the same time, if things are not flowing in this area, make sure you use this week to take intentional time to sit with that and decide what will serve you the highest so that way you can feel fulfilled in who you are and what purpose you serve in this world. Leo rising. Leo rising, this full moon in Aries is showing up in your ninth house of long distance travel, your higher belief systems, religion, spirituality, and philosophy. This is the week to book that trip. This is the week to look into how you want to expand your mind and what adventure do you want to go on. This full moon in Aries is activating some fire in your chart. And Leo risings, you already have fire in your chart. So this week is a fiery week where you might feel more inspired to take action on basically expanding who you are. Now, this can show up in a lot of ways. You could look into higher forms of education. This could be the week that you decide, hey, I want to go and pursue that new degree, or I want to take up a new skill set. This could be the week that you simply pick up a book you've been wanting to read and it totally shifts your perspective on a belief you once had, maybe your philosophy on life, or even something in to do with religion or spirituality. This could be the week that you dive deeper into astrology and you feel like you understand it more than ever. Now, this is also a moon that's activating this house of travel. So, long distance travel, adventure, all of this is likely to show up for you this week, Leo rising. So, pay attention to any opportunities where you can book a trip. And this could be something spontaneous where you go somewhere you've never been. And this is the week where you decide you're going to do it, right? Or it could be that you go on the trip this week, or maybe you just book it. Whatever that is for you, Leo rising, this is a week where emotionally you might feel more compelled to go on an adventure that you've never been on and experience something you've never experienced. So, what is it? What is it that you're craving? What new adventures are you really seeking? Now, Venus is entering your fifth house, which means that anything involving children is really positive, and also anything involving dating and romance is really positive. And so, this is a week where if you are in a relationship, go on a really fun date night, do something you've never done before, go rock climbing or I don't know, go skydiving for all you care. Whatever it is, Leo rising, have some fun, introduce a little bit of adrenaline, and have a romantic and spicy time. This is fire, right? It's heat, it's passion. Really align with that energy, and you will be so happy. Now, on top of that, Mercury in the fourth house for you in Scorpio means that conversations and your mind, and even anything that you're learning about, talking about, thinking about, might be around your family or your home. So this could look like conversations with family members. This could look like conversations about your physical home, about maybe redecorating, changing things around, moving, buying and selling of homes. Again, this can look like your physical home that you live in, or it can be the people that occupy your home, long conversations with family members, maybe even going back over things from the past. All of that is very likely this week. And the medicine, if anything, is bogging you down, Leo rising, as that's likely to happen, especially if it is bogging you down, it could easily lead into some health problems as Mars and Pluto are occupying your houses of physical health and mental and spiritual health. So health problems could come up. All of those things could happen. But the key here is to lean into that fun belief system that's bringing you outside of yourself, that feeling of exploration that makes you want to see the world. That's going to be the medicine this week. Dive into your self study. Look at what it is that lights you up, that makes you want to explore the world. Whatever that is, Leo rising, lean into that this week, and it will help anything else that's coming up for you feel a whole lot more fun. Virgo rising. Virgo rising, it's a very personal week for you. This full moon is in your eighth house, which is all about our intimate exchanges we share with people, especially spouses, money that we share with other people, such as a spouse. This is also the house of our sex life, it's the house of death and taxes, and essentially all of those intimate exchanges that we don't often talk about, but are very, very, very real. This is a house of psychology. And so all of these topics this week are going to be affecting your psychology and how you're seeing things. This could be the week where deep issues of trust and vulnerability are coming up, and you have to really look at things for how they are, and maybe even come to grips with some deeper shadows that you haven't wanted to look at. Issues involving money could come up this week, or positive things with money could come up this week. This could be the week where you finally have that culmination, where you receive that approval for the loan you've been waiting for, or you get that inheritance that you've been waiting on, or perhaps something happens with your spouse's income this week and it really activates a whole new shift in your income. All of that could happen this week. So that's why full moons are great, because they bring things to the surface, and if it's good things, then we can celebrate those. But if there's some holes, some kinks, some things we don't want to always look at in our finances or in our sex life, two areas of life that we do not discuss with many people, this is a week where we might feel like those more vulnerable parts of our life, Virgo rising, they're kind of come up to the surface for you. So be aware of that. Don't be surprised if you experience some issues either with your children, your dating life, and with friends, as Mars and Pluto are activating those houses in your chart. If there are any issues when it comes to your friendships, your children, or your dating life, know that the medicine this week is to lean into the question of who you can trust and what can you trust and how comfortable are you opening up and being vulnerable with people. That's really the crux of the eighth house. And that can easily also be a way that you navigate any issues that do come up this week in other areas of your life. Now, as far as where these other planets are showing up for you, Venus is entering your fourth house. So the fourth house is all about your home life. And so, again, personal matters related to your family, your childhood, even your physical home. Venus might be bringing those things up for you, but in this case, because it's Venus, it's positive. You might be having great connections with family members. You might be redecorating your home or moving into a beautiful new one, or experiencing really loving, positive energy in your home space and with people that you might have grown up with or that you currently live with. Also, Mercury is in your third house of communication, so it's a great time to dive into learning something new, maybe teaching something new, and having conversations with local neighbors, even siblings. You might be finding more conversations are happening with these people. But ultimately, this week, the medicine is to come back into your inner space, into that more personal world, when you really are looking at those deeper energy exchanges that you have with people that you have to trust, and look at how willing you are to open up to those people, because it's very likely that those are the holes that are going to be very obvious this week. And it's our job, Virgo risings, to decide, is that what you want to focus on? Do you want to fill those holes this week? If so, make sure you're giving it enough energy, enough emotional attention, because it's likely that topics related to this part of your life are likely to come up. Libra rising. Libra rising, this full moon in Aries is activating your seventh house of marriage and of partnership. So the moon is really emotionally activating your spouse. And if you don't have a spouse, then this is any sort of committed partner in your life. This could be clients that you have contracts with. This could be a best friend or business partner, but it's somebody who's in a one-to-one relationship with yourself. Now, for all intents and purposes, we're going to use marriage and spouses and partnership in that sense. But again, it can relate to all these people. There is likely something in this area of your life that needs some attention. And this is the week that you are being asked to look at it. If things are going really well in your relationships one to one, this is the week when you celebrate that, when you realize that this is exactly what I've been wanting. I'm so grateful for what I have here. At the same time, this could be the week where if there's any sort of challenges, issues, anything that you haven't been looking at but has been lingering in the background, maybe in your relationship, those topics that you haven't wanted to go there on, but they exist. This is the week when it is likely that you're going to address them. Now, it's really recommended to lean into whatever that is, right? When we feel, we heal. And Chiron is active here. So there could be a lot of relationship healing going on for you this week, Libra rising. And at the same time, it's all about dependency versus codependency. And, how independent, I think I said that wrong, how independent you are versus how codependent you are. There we go. So, how are you able to operate in your relationship? Are you the one that's willing to be with your partner 24/7, or are you also the one Maybe you want to have more independence, right? This is the week where if there has been some issues of codependency, if you've been feeling like you have been way too attached to your partner or vice versa, that could become an issue. If you feel like you need more independence, that could be a topic this week. As Aries energy is often very self focused, you might have a partner in your life who really appreciates the independence that they need, while at the same time, you might be desiring some independence in the relationship. So, all of that's likely to occur this week. We also have Venus in your third house, which is all about basically your neighbors, your neighborhood. So, you might be experiencing some great connections with neighbors. Also, siblings are a third house topic. So, Venus being in that area of your life, great for connections with siblings, neighbors, and even learning and teaching anything. So, your local environment in general, maybe you're part of like a community cleanup project. This would be a great week to do that. Mercury is in your second house this week, and it will be there all the way until November 2nd. So, Libra risings, excellent time to get into any sort of investments, buying and selling, any sort of transactions when it comes to money. Excellent time to do all those things. Also, might be a time when you're thinking more about your income. You're talking about it. Maybe you're talking about a raise or a promotion or changing jobs, switching up your income sources. This is a week when a lot of that might take place for you. And over the next couple of weeks, you might find a lot of themes related to your income. But this week in particular, Libra rising, it's all about your partnership. So when things feel all over the place, make sure you're leaning back into those people in your life that you share things with, that you share your life with. And if there's anything not working there, if you lean into that and you fix that energy up and you really realign it back into harmony and balance, which Libra rising, I know you guys love that. The sun is in your first house right now. So, of course, that's an alignment for you even more. This is the time to do so. Make sure that you're leaning into those relationships and making sure that they're healthy with an equal balance of codependency, so to speak, right? Dependency on the person, but also independence in that relationship. That healthy balance is going to be key this week. And if you haven't already achieved that, this is the week when you're going to want to focus on doing so. Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising, how has your health been? That's the first question I have for you guys. How's your health been? Especially your physical health, but even your mental and spiritual health. How has your health been? Because this is the week when that area of your life, that area of your birth chart is getting activated by the full moon in Aries. This full moon is showing up in your sixth house, which is the house of your physical health. So, if you have been overworking yourself, this is the house of work and service. If you have been pouring yourself into other people, into your day to day tasks and responsibilities, maybe Scorpio rising, you've been feeling like there's been a lot on your plate. If that's the case, this is the week when you want to pour back into those self care practices. As if you are not doing those things, you could also very well overwork yourself and reach burnout, as Aries is a fire sign, and that burnout will more than likely lead to health issues, especially things like headaches, as Aries rules over the head, dehydration, things like that. So make sure that you're taking care of your physical vessel. Now, also, this is the house that deals with your work and service. So, like I said, the people that you serve, the work that you do, your coworkers, even your pets, all of these components of your life are showing up here. All those responsibilities that you have in your life are showing up this week. And it could feel like you are on top of things, like you are really nailing it. While at the same time, Scorpio rising, you might be feeling like things are way too much. And if that's the case, again, the medicine is to lean into your self care, go for that jog, make sure you're prioritizing your workouts, get a session in with your chiropractor or your acupuncturist, or get a facial, something that really makes you feel good, that is allowing your body to feel taken care of, right? You want to maintain your physical vessel, because if you pour into yourself, Scorpio rising, then you can pour into those other people, then you can show up for your responsibilities and the work and the service you provide to others. Now, Venus is in your second house, which is great for money and all things material. So you might find that you are being blessed with more income opportunities and more financial or even just material resources. You might even just go on a shopping spree and buy some things that you've really been needing. Mercury is in your first house, so communication is key. Also, thinking and talking about your physical body and appearance, which goes directly back to this full moon in your sixth house of health. So, Scorpio rising, the real overriding theme for you this week is your physical body and its health and well being, and of course, the things that you have in order to take care of it. If you feel like you're getting off track, if you feel like your plate is full and you're tired and you're overworked, pause and pour into yourself. This is the full moon in Aries, and Aries is the sign of self care. Go sit in that sauna and take some time. Go make sure that you're working out and sweating out anything that is not serving your physical body. Detoxify yourself. especially with being a water rising, detoxification through sweat, especially with Aries in the sixth house of, that being a fiery energy. That is a really great way to move this emotional energy through your body this week, Scorpio rising. So make sure that you're prioritizing this, getting into the gym or getting outside, running, stretching, moving your body, however that looks for you. Do that, and I almost can promise this week will flow a lot easier, and your health and your body will thank you. Sagittarius rising. Ooh, Sagittarius rising. This is such a great week for you, a great time for you. Venus is entering your first house on the same day that there's a full moon in your fifth house. Venus in your first house, Sagittarius, is so amazing for feeling beautiful, for feeling attractive and luminous, and overall attracting value into your life, greater connection, people looking at you and almost being taken off guard by how you appear. It is really a great time, especially for romance. On top of that, the full moon in Aries is in your fifth house, which is the house of romance. This is the house of romance and dating and fun and games. It is also the house of children. And of course, if you're not looking to have children, it does not mean that it is a week that you're going to get pregnant, but it's also a week that you could get pregnant. So I do want to make that clear. It's a very fertile week for my Sagittarius risings. This is a week when your inner child is coming out to play. So go have some fun, especially because this house does deal with dating and romance. Doesn't matter if it's by yourself, if you're in a situationship, a relationship, or a marriage, or again, doesn't matter. Go and have some fun with a partner or by yourself, enjoying your life. Go have an adventure. This is a very spicy, fiery energy with it being Aries. And of course, you're a fire rising, so you understand. This is a great time to tap into that fire, that adrenaline. Go to a theme park, hop on a roller coaster, have some great sex, do whatever it is, Sagittarius rising, that gets your heart rate up, feels spicy and fun and exhilarating. And again, doing this with a partner can do wonders for your romance life in general, your relationships, and your dating. This is also a week, like I said, to really lean into your inner child. And if you have children, this is a big week for maybe looking at things regarding your kids. Now, full moons can often show things that are not working, right? They kind of put the spotlight on the stuff we might not have been wanting to see. So if there's Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising, this full moon in Aries is activating your fourth house, which is all about your home. Now, home can mean a lot of things. So, this is not just your physical home, although it does incorporate that, but it's also the people that you consider to be home. This can be your parents, the people that you live with, anybody that you consider to be a person that you involve in your home life and your personal life. Even relatives can be included here. Now, Capricorn rising, a lot's been going on for you guys, right? You have this Mars Pluto opposition, which is basically activating this area of your chart dealing with yourself and your partnerships. So, you might be experiencing some strife in marriage or partnership. You also might be experiencing some major transformative energy, perhaps even tying up some loose ends Going back from a cycle that you began in 2008, with Pluto having just dipped back into Capricorn for the last time in a couple hundred centuries, this could be your final time of really wrapping things up in a much longer term cycle. So all of this really brings you back to your home. This is a very personal week for you. You might find that you don't really want to leave the house too much this week, and you'd much rather attend to things on the home front. So how have things been going there for you? The question this week is if there's anything, any dust bunnies, right? Any shadows in the corner that you have not looked at, Capricorn rising, this is the week where you will more than likely look at that. So this is the week where if you've been needing to redecorate or renovate, that could happen. If you've been wanting to move homes or to change roommates or to up level something in your home life, so to speak, this is the week where this can happen. This is the week where you might simply realize that that's what you want to happen. And therefore, you realize that this is the week that you're going to set it into motion to make it happen, right? So, a lot of realizations can come for you in terms of your home. The fourth house is also the house of endings. And so you might be feeling a sense of endings, especially with Pluto in its last term, its last degree of Capricorn, really at the very end of your first house. It could feel like a lot of endings are happening, a lot of shifts are taking place, and you're transforming some things in your life that have been going on for quite a while. Now, the positive thing this week, Capricorn rising, is that Mercury is in your house of friends. And so you might be having way more conversations, way more interactions with your friends. You even might be not only talking more to friends, but learning more from your friends. You could even become a teacher to your friends. And so this is really between now and November 2nd, a great time for being social with people. But this week in particular, you might feel a little less social and a little bit more oriented towards your home space and making sure things there are settled. If there is a conversation you need to have with a family member, Aries energy is head on, it's direct. You are going to have that conversation this week. So be aware that family stuff could come up for you this week, home things could come up for you this week, but ultimately that is the medicine. If you feel like you need some time to retreat as Venus is moving through your 12th house of isolation and spirituality, that could exactly be what your soul's craving. Make sure that things at your home are solid. Make sure that you are addressing whatever emotional issues are coming up for you here, as this is going to be the medicine to put you back into alignment and help this week to flow even smoother. Aquarius rising. Aquarius rising, this week is very social for you. The full moon is activating your third house, which is all about your local environment and the people you see on a day to day basis. You also have Venus entering into your house of friendships, making this an amazing time to form even greater connections with the friends in your life and have more social environments and atmospheres that you are basically putting yourself into. Now, you also have Mercury entering into your 10th house this week. Big conversations happening around your career, around your image, around your reputation, and even the titles and the responsibilities that you hold. Now, with the full moon activating your third house, the real emotional side of things is taking place when it comes to your neighborhood, your community. This is a great week to get out into community, to serve your community in some way, to connect with the people in your community. Great time to connect with neighbors. If there's been some lingering issues with your neighbors or with your even your siblings, as this house does also deal with siblings, you might find that these things are coming to the forefront this week. If there's been a conversation needed to be had with a sibling or a neighbor, this is the week where you will more than likely experience that. So make sure that you take the necessary time to attend to those things in your life. It is very likely that emotional topics that could feel a little overwhelming could come up for you this week. This is also the week when you might notice that you really feel called to learning, to diving into a topic of study that emotionally fills you up, that excites you, as Aries energy is meant to excite us. Aquarius rising, make sure that you're leaning into the friends in your life, your neighborhood, your community, even the people that you consider brothers and sisters. This is the time to lean into those relationships in your life and also learn more about those people in your life. See if you can even find ways to connect deeper with them. And also take the time, because Mercury is in your house of career, to have necessary conversations that are helping you to get ahead and helping your career to move forward in some way, shape, or form. Ultimately, allow your mind, your communication style to flourish this week. If there are some issues with your communication this week, if you feel like maybe words aren't flowing or the conversations are not in alignment, make sure you're speaking from the heart, as this is the week when emotional communication is key to really finding the answers to whatever is coming up for you and hopefully allowing you to find greater alignment with the cosmic energy for the week. Pisces rising. Pisces rising, this full moon in Aries is activating your house of money. This is the house of your earned income, meaning the money that you attract. Have you been waiting for a promotion or looking for a new source of income? If so, this is the week when those things come into the forefront for you and you really take note of what it is that you have been earning and if it's been working. Take a look at your budget this week. If there's things that need to be removed, full moons are times of culmination, meaning things come to a head, so to speak, but it also is a time when we can release that's not working. So if there are things within your spending that you're realizing maybe I'm spending too much on or I'm burning through my money on, Aries energy is fire, so it's very likely that emotionally we could spend more than we want to this week. Be very aware of emotional spending. But we also could feel more emotionally charged up around how we've been spending our money. We might realize that we've been wasting it in some way. And this is the week when we realize we need to stop doing that. If you've been doing really well with handling your finances, this is a really great week to celebrate that and maybe splurge a little. As long as you know you're doing it responsibly, this could be a really great week to actually find that time to enjoy the money that you have been earning. Now, a lot of other things are going on materially for you, Pisces rising, because you also have Venus entering your house of career. And so this is a really great week for realizing what it is that you are doing that's working well in your career, what titles and what is your reputation that you have with people and how they see you in the world. Is that working? Is the title that you hold, is the career title that you have, is that in alignment with who you are? And it might be working really well with your income or it might not be. All of those things are going to come up for you this week and will make a lot more sense as to what direction it is that you want to take. You might find that emotionally you want to spend on your dating life, on your children, because the ruler of this moon is hanging out in your house of dating and children and creative projects. So if there's a hobby or project, maybe even like a sports game that you've been betting on, something like that that you've been wanting to put your money into, this could be the week where you find that you invest into things that are more playful and fun and just enjoyable. And while that's amazing, and if you can do so responsibly, do it. Be aware that if you do those things and you're not in a position to do those things, that could become very evident for you very quickly. Overall, the last thing I will say, Pisces rising, is that Mercury is in your ninth house of travel and of higher education. And so this is a great time, especially if you're considering what to do in your career and how you want to earn income. This is a great time to consider new skill sets, new certifications, new, maybe pursuing higher education in some way, going back to college or getting a higher degree. That could all come up for you this week and become very evident as to if that's something you want to do. Opportunities for that could even come in. Likewise, you could find that you are leaning deeper into your religious and spiritual beliefs and perhaps even desiring to go on a long distance trip somewhere, maybe talking about planning a trip or talking about something involving cultures that are not completely, familiar to yourself, right? You might be wanting to expand your horizons a bit more. And by doing so, that might feel really good and you might want to put your money there as well. All of that to say, Pisces rising, focus on your income this week and on making sure that you feel that your income reflects your value. As the second house is also the house of value, it's very likely that you could feel like your emotions and the way that you use your money is either serving your sense of self-worth and self-value, or maybe it's not. And if it's not, this is the week to make that change and to make sure that you are adjusting your finances accordingly so that way they can be flowing in greater harmony with who you ultimately desire to be. And that really wraps us up. I hope this information was of value to you. Please make sure that you share this video out with any friends or family you have that you believe could also benefit from knowing what they can expect for their cosmic week ahead. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the like button. And if you're interested in more than what you just heard and you want a full in-depth personal reading, the link is below. Go ahead and schedule that with myself so we can chat more in depth about your cosmic blueprint. And with that, you all have a beautiful week. I wish you an amazing full moon in Aries, and I will see you all again in the next video.